With this new video, friends, I am here with the third part of soft skills. And soft skills, as you have already encountered in the first two videos, but this is part three, emotional intelligence. So, in this part three, we are going to deal specifically about emotional intelligence and the earlier part two, that means soft skills and teamwork. We have already completed the discussion. Now, today's topic is emotional intelligence. Without wasting time, let us move on to the new slides. The first that you need to understand, what are the parts of emotional intelligence? So these are the three parts of emotional intelligence where you can have the vision of definition, historical development, and number three, Goleman's model. Each one is interesting and significant. We are going to learn about it pretty soon. The first one, therefore, is the definition. And in this part of definition, we need to understand what is exactly the emotional intelligence. In the first section, emotional intelligence is, according to the Cambridge English Dictionary, the ability to understand the way people feel and react, and to use this skill to make good judgments and to avoid or solve problems. So, through your emotional intelligence, what you can do, you can have the ability to understand the way people feel and react and to use this skill. So you can use this skill of emotional intelligence to make good judgments. Either you have to avoid or you have to solve problems. So through the application of emotional intelligence, you can solve problems, you can avoid problems of life and different sorts. The dictionary further states that, the same dictionary, Cambridge English Dictionary, it states that the capacity to be aware of, manage, and express one's emotions and to handle a variety of interpersonal situations in an intelligent, judicious, and empathetic manner. So, you have a variety of interpersonal situations and you have to deal with your intelligence, with your judicious nature and empathetic manner. So this is basically the emotional intelligence which helps you to understand the situations better and to solve that problem or the situations in a better way. So if you have emotional intelligence rather than IQ, I'm coming to that point pretty soon, but if you have emotional intelligence better, you can solve problems better. The concept gained widespread recognition and attention following the publication of a 1995 book by Daniel Goleman, that's Goleman's model, titled Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. So this is the book published in 1995. These are the basic factors, these are the definition, the parts of definition of emotional intelligence, and you have to meticulously understand each of these points. To the next slide, what is the historical development of this emotional intelligence? The concept of IQ, therefore, comes to the forefront. The concept of IQ suggests that our educational objective and discourses on learning capacities are usually based on the idea of intelligence quotient. We all have heard the term IQ, that means intelligence quotient. We all have heard that intelligent people have high IQ levels. For example, Albert Einstein or Stephen Hawking had extraordinary IQ scores of 160, while majority of us stuck in an average IQ range around 100. So if you have better IQ, your score will be 160, 150, 170. If Albert Einstein scored 160, naturally, common human being like us will score within 95 to 100. So this is intelligent question, that IQ. Even if originally the IQ score was devised by Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon, so that students in need of a remedial could be identified quickly, it soon became the marker of the fixed amount of intelligence we are born with. So IQ basically measures your fixed amount of intelligence that is already stored within you. If you are intelligent enough, your IQ level will go up. If you are not intelligent at all, then your IQ level go down. That's what matters when IQ comes in the light. Now there are problems of IQ. What are the problems? There were two major problems, supposed to say. that emerging view of IQ and attachment of so much importance to the concept. First, suppose we are born with certain amount of intelligence or unalterable IQ, and rest of our lives learning and achievements are dependent on that. Educators and educational innovators become mostly redundant in such a situation. So this is a problem, that when in need there are more educators and educational inventors. So where you have an unalterable IQ level and your life's learning and achievements are dependent on that, so you will find that there are plenty of people with the same IQ level, and there are plenty of people who are not competing with you with better IQ levels or almost of the same IQ level. So this is a major problem of IQ, intelligence quotient. The second one is that mid 20th century's most competitive corporatives were recruiting people with highest IQ scores. There was no direct correspondence between their scores and lateral achievements. So if your score is 120 to 140 or 150, the expectations are high from you to give something better because your intelligence quotient is better. But there is a discrepancy. However, there is found as a discrepancy between your score and your lateral achievements. So these are the problems of the IQ. So here in the slide, you are clear of the concept of IQ and the problems of IQ. Questions may be asked separately on the concept of IQ and the problems of IQ. Now we have to understand, if there are problems, there has to be solution or solutions. Now these gaps are measured in various attempts. So in the next slide here, we need to understand the various attempts. There are various attempts to address that gap, to complete that gap. One of them is to diverse the range of tests from numerical to other kinds. Accordingly, various levels of psychometric tests were developed and are still in use of recruitment and screening. In particular, defense recruitments involved some of the earliest aptitude tests, and even today they incorporate a number of them, even if in a changed manner. So you already have noticed 3 points in same color, and it is made bold so that for your convenience you can remember that what were the attempts. First, diverse range of tests. Second, psychometric tests. Third, aptitude tests. These tests are given in order to achieve the higher level of IQ, in order to get maximum out of one's IQ level. So these are the attempts that all have already been made in different segments, different ways. Now there are two important events. These two important events in the 1980s changed perception of the IQ so completely that almost no contemporary employer or educator pays any serious attention to IQ anymore. Now, what are these? In two important books. One is Howard Gardner's 1983 book, Frames of Mind, The Theory of Multiple Intelligence, sensitized people and thinkers about 9 different modes of intelligence. And taking indirect cue from Gardner, Paul Klein's 1986 book, so one published in 1983, another in 1986, A Handbook of Test Construction, Introduction to Psychometric Design, advocated a wider range of tests to identify best potential recruits. Now, Klein said that the insistence on IQ is a narrowly defined idea of intelligence in doing collective harm by leaving out large sections of otherwise worthy individuals. He also encouraged different kinds of intelligence people, different kind of intelligences people possess so that they can call contribute to an organization in particular and society in general. So if your idea is fixed about IQ or intelligence quotient in a particular manner, in a separate fixed idea, it is wrong, because Klein or Dr. Klein made it clear in 1986 book, A Handbook of Test Construction, where there are various methods that can be used as your IQ, and you can achieve goals through your IQ levels, and in that way you can give better aspects to your society. You can create a better society around you. So indeed, there are different kind of intelligences that people possessed, and Dr. Klein made this very clear that it is in another level, that you have your intelligence level, you have different kind of intelligences that you can use to your work in various ways. So that is very significant. So these two important books were notable in order to understand those various atoms and later developments in IQ. Moving on to the next slide, that is the Goldman's model. So this is a significant point in this part 3, emotional intelligence, because Dr. Goldman is a significant and notable person in this field. Now, what is Goldman's model? And in order to understand that, you have to then understand Goldman and IQ, or IQ and Goldman. Goldman's book gave widespread attention to the idea of IQ. However, Goldman clearly acknowledged a lot that has been already available to psychologists, at least from early 1960s. In the 1960s, across the developed world, there was a social crisis that involved throngs of intelligent people who could not find any purpose in life. See, that depression comes from this. So even if you have high intelligence, even if you are very, very intelligent, depression may come because you have no purpose in life, as you can not find any purpose in your life to achieve. While many dismiss them as misdirected wastrel, the often pejorative term hippie movement also set many psychologists and sociologists to seriously ponder over the situation. One reason that emerged was the social and organizational exclusion of the emotive forces from people's life. So here it is about the hippie movement which seriously made thinkers, psychologists, sociologists to think about it. So there is emotive force or forces in people's life which emerged on the point of social organizational exclusion. So this is the reason why emotional intelligence comes into existence or emerged as a result out of this. Now you need to understand what is the connection between Goldman and emotion, how Goldman stated emotion in his book. So he basically divides three parts of emotion. One is that emotion as an enemy, another leading to distraction, another the best friend. So three different sections, but you need to understand in order to understand Goldman's model. So here, Goldman and emotion. The first one is emotion as an enemy. So emotion and Goldman in this point, emotion as an enemy and distraction, 2 points merged into one. And here you have to understand that there are many situations when emotions become our enemy. A majority of such situations can be noticed in anger, vulnerability, self pity, desolation, alienation, etc. We all have encountered such situations in the moment of anger, in the moment of vulnerable situations, self pity, or alienation, desolation, etc. So, situations are there where emotions become our serious enemy. While some of these can again be classified as either interpersonal or external social, it is always better to see them as an amalgam of both these. That means it is a combination between interpersonal and external social relationship. Also, many of these emotions are interconnected with each other. For example, so here we have an example. We can be angry because of any one or more than one reasons that are listed after anger. Particularly in the late teens, one is often expected to behave as mature adults without the social power and prestige that socially established adults possess. This can often lead to a sense of helplessness and vulnerability. So, vulnerability that is coming from emotion may come anywhere, anytime. So, if one is expecting from you a mature response, the result will be a mature one. It is not easy for you to deliver that because you have not that social status. As from the from the social status, people usually demand the mature sense. That kind of social status, if you do not possess, naturally that maturity may not come from you. So this is where emotion becomes our enemy and becomes one of the cause of distraction. So Goldman basically points out that emotion is this, that emotion doesn't help us much. Rather, it creates disturbance, rather, it creates desolation, vulnerability in us, angry sometimes, and to many extents, self pity. So, In the same formula, that emotion as an enemy and distraction, some people argue that changing social structures or breaking down into nuclear families, destroying the safety network previously provided by large connected families. Maybe this is correct, maybe this is not, because there are counter arguments too. And what are these? This can only be partially true because even if there are many senior and junior members, listen very carefully, present in the family to provide a caring hand and an eager ear to the twin teenage people, they, by virtue of their life stage orientation, necessarily tend to veer towards people of their own age. And it is very natural if you have members older in your family. Now, the younger members of the family may not tend to mix up with the older ones. Rather, they will find twin teenage people of their own age in order to get mixed up with them. So, this is not true that breaking down into nuclear families or changing social structures are seriously reasonable for destroying the safety network previously provided by large connected families. In that respect, an extended or nuclear family has a limited role to play. Why? The sense of self-pity. Now you have to understand that sense of self-pity, however, is consolidated by an atmosphere of constant censure that people of this age may face. On the one hand, such self-pity may permanently damage one's self-confidence to such an extent that he or she may never gain the confidence or responsibility to do anything of importance. So once you have that self pity, again you are in a state of dejection. Again, you are in a state of disappointment. So once the desolation comes within you, the self pity will bring down to that lowest extent of yourself that even in such important situations, your confidence level will go lower. And once it will be done, or once your confidence levels will go down, now you may never gain the confidence or the responsibility to tend to anything of importance. These are the factors where it suggests that even if nuclear family doesn't help much to this, or changing social structures or breaking down into nuclear families are necessarily not true that they are destroying the safety network, because there are other reasons too, except these two, the changing social structures or breaking down into nuclear families. Now, these are the two factors. Moving on to the next points, you have more points here in the counter argument continues as it is. Number four, that more dangerously, it may push a person filled with self pity to dangerous situations. Unfortunately, manipulators of such situations like doing drugs, random hooliganism, casual sex, or fundamentalist behaviors are always in the look out for such young men and women who are emotionally vulnerable and are probably showing signs of confirmed self pity. So, vulnerability, self pity, etc. Now, once you understand that this is dangerous, you can take measures. So, emotional intelligence helps here to develop your inner core. So, people, unfortunately, manipulators of such situations like doing drugs, etc., always in the lookout for such young men and women. So people of younger age tend to do these. Why? Because they do not understand the situation, because they do not care about the situation, because their intelligence level is not going up. This is the reason. More significantly, in the unfortunate event of recruitment of youth into such disastrous consequences, their physical and mental health is seriously damaged, naturally. And most of them have serious difficulty to attach to anything of purpose or meaning in their life, even if they are rescued from such dangers. This complete and negative detachment from everything around one's life is called alienation. So once you are alienated, once you are completely out of the box, things are getting worse. It is not that easy to recover from that. So, this self pity, alienation, these are very significant factors to understand. Now, moving on to the number four, we all know that even if we are working hard on our studies and have the required IQ to do well in it, any emotionally disturbing situation may result in failure to optimally concentrate on our studies. So, emotionally disturbing situation here is the point. Among some students, they may even successfully overcome the emotional entropy or leakage that goes on as a back process. Their psychological makeup is seriously damaged by the emotional disturbances. So, once you are into the realm of emotional disturbance, you cannot move out of that. You cannot make yourself over. So, once you are disturbed by emotional situations, you have to look out for it that this is not only nuclear family or changing social structures. There are much more factors that they can destroy your self-respect, identification, like self-pity if you are alienated or if you are emotionally typically disturbed. So people when in love relationship, they do not get things very cleverly in the head because they are blocked. Their heads are blocked because of the emotional disturbing situations. So once you are in that situation, it is not easier for you to go out to get out of the situation easily. So these are the counter arguments, the factors related to counter arguments of those two reasons that are significant. Now moving on to the next slide, that emotion and Goleman on the same point, emotion as the best friend. So we have encountered two other aspects, those are negative. Now think about emotion as the best friend. Ancient wisdom from Bhagavad Gita to Aristotle often remind us that our mind and emotion are our best friends. While this may sound rather empty to an emotionally disturbed person, the premise can certainly help us to gain a better control over things and a robust attitude to our psychological makeup. Some of the major ideas from the following list can help us in building the robust framework. So, if you want to make a robust framework of this emotion that may help you as your best friend, these are the factors. One is individuation, second is non-instrumentality, third is detachment, and fourth is sociability. Each one will be dealt in the next slides. Each one you have to understand carefully. Now, moving on to the first, individuation. Now, what is individuation? Individuation is an understanding of one's relationship with the external world. So, this is a very straightforward fact. While a pragmatic and purpose oriented view often prompts us to consider something on the basis of its use to our life, an emotional and value oriented attitude may prompt us to consider our broader involvement in it. What does it say? It says maybe there is pragmatism. If something is very pragmatic, it can give you something on the basis of its use to your life. But significantly, an emotional and value oriented attitude may give you a broader involvement into it. So, if you are emotional instead of pragmatic, your involvement may be better into that. So, instead of giving knowledge or instead of giving anything not worthy, if you are emotionally attached or connected to something, it will give you better result. So as a student you are surely worried about your studies and results, but at the same time it would be nice to pause for a while and think about how you can contribute to change the world around you after finishing your studies with the knowledge that you are gaining. This is a very basic question, should be asked to every one of you and should be answered. That small thought experiment may provide you with a definite way to connect your own efforts to the larger world. That is what exactly it means. So, why you are studying? Why you are studying English honors or English as your honor subject? Have you ever thought about it? What is its better purpose? What is its larger segments or larger purpose involved into it? Why you were connected with your study to the world? So, this involvement, the understanding of one's relationship with the external world, is called individuation. Now, the second is non instrumentality. And what is it? Non instrumentality is an attitude when we considering people and our relations with other people as a means to some end. For example, if we start considering our friends purely as a means of some convenience, like sharing notes or remaining updated or lending money or actively increasing our status in social media or proxy us in a difficult situation, we are creating trouble for both of us. And exactly why? While they may be willing to do any or all of these, we are often emotionally disturbed when, even for a reasonable cause, they are unable to do any of these functions. We start considering that to be an unfaithful act and may even contemplate ending the friendship. What happens when you are relying on your friend that he or she will give you a proxy in a classroom? One day, if she or he will not do that, you start considering that as an unfaithful act. Now, this results in a difficult understanding. You may contemplate on ending the friendship between you and her or him. So this makes us very selfish. Non-instrumental attitude gives you the idea not to be dependent on someone too much. So this is individuation and non-instrumentality. Moving on to the third, detachment. So what is it? Just as the previous two from a binary complex, detachment and sociability constitute another binary set of ideas. While often many of us at this age end up spending major part of our working hours among friends, there is also necessity to maintain some kind of detachment, lest our worldview, social world, and attitudes are solely defined and determined by our group. As university educated young citizens like you of a socially and culturally diverse country, all of all of us need to practice some kind of detachment from our surroundings so that we have an open attitude to other kinds of citizens of the country and the world. This may actually start in the college campus. So you should maintain a detachment so that you will have your own idea, you will have the concept. Those should be made by your detachment or through your detachment. If you want to detached from the social media, from your friends, from the situations that are emotionally disturbed or connected, you cannot understand what is exactly that. So in order to understand, or in order to have a better comprehension, in order to get better ideas into your head, you have to maintain this detachment, because detachment only can give you a boost to understand better things in a better way or difficult things in a simple way. So need to practice this detachment, which is, according to Goleman's list, is a positive side of emotion. The fourth one is sociability, and definitely the last one. It can be narrowly defined as someone's observance of the rules of a society in his or her behavior with other members of the society. That in this context, this can be considered in the broader context of reaching out or to another group that is not part of one's everybody experience. It is often found that romantic inclinations operate at the level of much social behavior of the college students. There is nothing unusual about it, but an encouraging atmosphere through various cultural and co-curricular activities and hobby clubs enable students not only to hone some skills beyond the academic confines, but increase their capacity to socially reach out to people who do not belong to their comfort zone like-mindedness. The sociability is basically when you are living in a society, you are just observing the rules of society in your behavior in respect of the other members of the society. So how you are behaving in respect to the others as they are reacting to you, and how your behavior is similarly complying with them or not. So this is some kind of sociability that you need to develop, and it is also another side, a positive aspect of emotion, because if you are maintaining sociability, you will be mature enough because you are looking at something objectively. Even if you are looking at something objectively, you will find that you are also looking at yourself objectively. So this is very significant, because with detachment, sociability also creates a kind of hunger within you to understand yourself in a better way. Now let us try to bring out the best. So how we are going to bringing out the best? It is about the Daniel Goleman concluded that a team or society will benefit from having individuals with high IQ. Such individuals bring with them the following core characteristics. Self-regulation, the first one. The act of being able to have control over one's thoughts and actions without a need for regulation by others. Internal motivation, to be self motivated to do one's job and not be dependent on rewards and appreciation by others. Empathy, to be able to recognize and understand others' emotions and motivations. Lastly, social skills, ability to manage relationships and work in teams. So these are the factors: self regulation, internal motivation, empathy, social skills are the best factors that Daniel Goleman thought that individuals bring with the following characteristics. These are called core characteristics according to Goleman. Now, these core characteristics are very significant in order to bring your best, because if you maintain social regulation and internal motivation, empathy, and social skills, you will be a better person in a society. Now, let us conclude the fact it is the time when we need to understand the conclusive part. The psychologists and managers everywhere now recognize that our attempt to curb our emotional aspects in the workplace for past 2 centuries has probably let us neglect an important source of our energy. So they encourage us to work upon those two facts: positive control of the personal emotional drainage, and second, to build a socially enriching emotional capital towards holistic development. It means that there should be a positive control of the personal emotional drainage. So if you are not positive enough, if you are not looking at things in a better way, in a positive way, then it will be a emotional drainage. And second, to build a society enriching emotional capital towards holistic development. Holistic development suggests total development. So in the total development, socially enriching emotional capital is significant. So it has to be enriching socially, and emotional capital will be a capital which will guide you to give a holistic concept, or to create a holistic development. In this holistic approach, our rational efficiency is always supplemented by an emotional extra, and personal goals are always connected to a broader scale of self-fulfillment. So what is mostly necessary is the self-fulfillment, and it is very significant. The workers of an organization, members of a society, and citizens of a country all benefit in the likewise best possible measure when they allow their positive emotions to guide their energies. So if you, again, living in a society, allow your positive emotions to guide your energies, then not only you are going to be a good person, but also you will create a better society, and that better society will guide the others too. So in that way, emotional intelligence is significant in each aspect and in each individual. Now, moving on to the source of this whole video. The source is Introduction to Undergraduate English Book 1. As it is very true, either you have to go through the video or you can read through this book. Whatever you do, do it carefully, meticulously. Now, moving on to the parts of questions, the probable questions. These are the probable questions, scoring number 2 to 10, that you have to practice and follow. Yes, you are free to make more questions, but remember, what you have to do, you just need to give examples with your writing. So follow these questions, practice these questions. The answer I have already given in the video. So just look at the question and go to the parts, and each part is given in detail into this video. Finally, it is the part to thank you all from my heart for watching this video. You are my source of energy, and I believe that it will be till to the last day of my life. So thank you very much for watching this video. Stay tuned, stay healthy until the next video comes. Thank you.